Count Nikolai of Monpezat has finally broken his silence on one of the most talked about decisions in modern Danish royal history, and his reflections are drawing renewed attention to a moment that reshaped the future of Denmark's royal family. More than 3 years after Queen Margrethe II decided that 4 of her grandchildren would no longer hold the titles of prince and princess, Nikolai is revealing how that decision affected him personally. His comments are not about creating controversy. Instead, they offer a thoughtful glimpse into what it feels like when a life-changing decision is made without your control, and why that moment continues to resonate years later. When the announcement was made in 2022, it immediately sparked headlines across Denmark and around the world. Queen Margrethe explained that the change was intended to allow her grandchildren greater freedom to build lives outside the obligations of full-time royal duties. It was also presented as a way of modernizing the monarchy and ensuring that future generations could define themselves beyond royal expectations. Even so, the announcement generated intense public debate because of how suddenly it arrived and because it affected members of the family who had grown up with those titles. Now, Count Nikolai is looking back with greater perspective. One of the most striking parts of his reflection is his acknowledgement that the decision was made on his behalf rather than by him. That simple observation captures the unique reality of royal life. Unlike most people, members of royal families often find that deeply personal choices are influenced by centuries of tradition, constitutional considerations, and institutional priorities. For someone who had carried the title of prince throughout his childhood and early adulthood, the transition represented much more than a change in wording. It marked a shift in identity and in how the public viewed his place within the Danish monarchy. Despite the emotional weight of the decision, Nikolai's public remarks have remained measured and respectful. Rather than fueling speculation or reopening family disagreements, he appears focused on explaining the personal impact while continuing to move forward with his own career. That approach has earned praise from many observers who see his comments as thoughtful rather than confrontational. It also reflects the careful balance that members of royal families often have to maintain when discussing sensitive family matters in public. The story also highlights a larger question facing monarchies across Europe. Many royal households are working to streamline their institutions, reduce the number of working royals, and prepare for future generations. These changes are often designed to keep monarchies relevant in the modern era, but they can also have unintended personal consequences for the individuals involved. The Danish royal family's decision became one of the clearest examples of how institutional reform can collide with personal identity. For Nikolai, however, life has continued to evolve beyond the palace walls. He has pursued opportunities in modeling and education while building an independent public profile. Without the expectations that often accompany a senior royal title, he has been able to develop his own career and interests. Some supporters argue that this independence may ultimately provide greater freedom, while others believe that losing a title tied to family history can never be entirely separated from emotion. Both perspectives continue to shape public discussion whenever the subject returns to the headlines. The renewed attention to Nikolai's comments also arrives at an interesting moment for Denmark's monarchy. Following Queen Margrethe II's abdication and King Frederik X's succession to the throne, many observers have been reflecting on how the royal family is evolving. Decisions made under one reign inevitably influence the next, and conversations about modernization remain central to the monarchy's future. Nikolai's reflections remind audiences that institutional changes are not merely constitutional adjustments. They are lived experiences for the people directly affected. Public reaction has been notably balanced. Some believe Queen Margrethe acted in the long-term interests of the monarchy, making a difficult but necessary decision for the institution's future. Others continue to sympathize with Nikolai and his siblings, recognizing that losing titles connected to childhood and family identity is never emotionally simple. That divide illustrates why this story continues to capture public attention years after the original announcement. Perhaps the most compelling aspect of Nikolai's remarks is that they invite empathy rather than outrage. His perspective encourages viewers to think about the human side of royal life, where personal identity and public duty often intersect in complicated ways. It is easy to focus on titles and traditions, but behind every constitutional decision are real people adapting to unexpected changes. As the Danish royal family continues writing its next chapter, Count Nikolai's reflections serve as a reminder that history is often understood more clearly with time. The controversy surrounding the title changes may never completely disappear, but his willingness to speak thoughtfully about the experience adds important context to an event that reshaped both his future and the public conversation surrounding Denmark's monarchy. Do you believe Queen Margrethe's decision will ultimately strengthen the Danish monarchy, or do you think the personal cost to her grandchildren was too great? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this balanced royal news analysis, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share this video so you never miss our latest updates on the world's royal families.